Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have top 10 John Cena matches of all time. Now obviously, he has so many matches that, your list is going to be somewhat the same, but also a lot of difference. So we do have a couple of the same ones. We have kind of went over our list to make sure it wasn't too much of the same. But yeah, we both went through John Cena's career and kind of combed through it in a way, and this is the top 10 matches that we came up with.
Yeah, some of these matches, again, these aren't going to be his best matches, but just to us, this is the one when we think of John Cena, this is what comes to our mind first. And for me, that's kind of how I did my list. I was like, okay, when I think of John Cena, what are the 10 matches that first come to my head, and a lot of these were on that list. So, yeah, I'm really excited, kind of see, already kind of know some of the differences, but I want to just kind of talk about why we picked one at certain places. But yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, and I'll start off with the ones that we have that are the same, so we kind of go over those as we go. But for number one, I have, not in order by the way, these aren't in order, but the first one is John Cena versus Umaga at the Royal Rumble 2007. It was a I Quit match, or no, it was a last man standing match. And yeah, the big moment I really remember is just John Cena hitting him with the stairs, and it just really looking like it connected, and then he just drops in the ring. And then he does the, I believe it was like a backbreaker or something onto the steps after that, the 5-knuckle shuffle while he's on the steps. And yeah, just a crazy match.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of old John Cena in a while, but watching this, remember how good he was at, blading during that time. When he was bleeding crazy amounts. And I think you're going to mention some of that in a future match that you're going to bring up. But yeah, I really enjoy this one. John Cena is one of the best. Although he is the Superman of WWE, he is so good at playing the underdog at times. Like when it's a big bad guy like Umaga or even Big Show or Kane, whatever it may be, he can always play that underdog. Even though, like I said, it's John Cena who is never the underdog usually.
Yeah, for sure. And then another one that we both had the same of is going to be John Cena versus Edge at Unforgiven 2006. Now this one, this is kind of like a legendary match in John Cena's career, so I don't feel I have to speak too much on it, but I feel like this was not only one of John Cena's best matches, but it was probably the moment that brought Edge out to me as the official rated R superstar, the ultimate opportunity, yada yada, whatever. But this was kind of a big solo moment for Edge to kind of showcase who he was as a single star as well.
Yeah, this match was absolutely amazing. Obviously, the most memorable spot of this match is John Cena doing the AA through 2 tables off of the ladder. But yeah, this is such an iconic moment, not only for Cena, but for Edge to lose the belt in Canada. It's a huge thing. But yeah, really enjoy this one, and it was crazy just thinking about how good that match was.
Yeah, especially for its time in 2006, you're just kind of getting into the deep end of the Ruthless Aggression era. And yeah, John Cena is not yet Super Cena, but he's getting towards Super Cena very shortly after that. Now for our last one that we do have the same of is, of course, going to be John Cena versus CM Punk 2011 Money in the Bank. Not much to say about this one. This is just legendary. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, I feel like you probably know the image of the Punk on the barricade and whatnot, and there's just so many just iconic moments from this match, and just who was gonna win, no one really knew at the time.
Yeah, one of the best stories into matches, because in reality, I personally don't like the in-ring action too much to it, but it's still great, don't get me wrong, but the story element adding into it, John Cena playing the good guy and declining the help of Vince McMahon Laurinaitis, which ends up hurting him and losing the belt. It's such a great moment, and like you said, the images that come from this match are historic and should go in Hall of Fames around the world.
Yeah, and CM Punk's contract was on the verge that night. They didn't quite re-sign him yet, so he was champion but not under contract. It was a very, very rare, maybe the only time that has kind of happened like that, but they did re-sign him shortly after that. But yeah, just insane match. Like I said, not much to talk about. Everyone knows about this one. When you speak about CM Punk, this is probably the first match that you think of.
Yeah. But yeah, to start going to one that we both don't have, would you like to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. And that is, I'm just gonna say it's another one that's kind of doesn't need to be spoken on once again, but it's just his 2008 Royal Rumble return. Just completely unexpected. The pop that he got, The hustle, loyalty, respect T-shirt is iconic to me as well, with the hat, the throat. It's just the whole thing, just mainly just a pop. You got as big as the CM Punk pop that we had this past year at Survivor Series. But just that moment of him returning by himself alone makes this one of my favorite John Cena matches just to watch.
Yeah, just also the entrance of him just coming out, hands crossed, and then as the beat drops, head comes up, smiling, and like you said, this is like literally Superman level like comebacks, because he wasn't supposed to come out that early. He was supposed to go on for a year and a half, I believe, was the initial time, but yeah, for him to come back so quick, win the Rumble, yeah, definitely such an iconic moment.
And this was just a year after he just had the Umaga match that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. For my first one, I am going to go with Big Show and Edge, the triple threat at WrestleMania 25. Again, this match isn't the best in ring, even though it has some cool high spot moments. I think a lot of people remember the double AA that Cena gave to Big Show and Edge. The spear that John Cena dodges that through a table from Edge. Yeah, this match is one of my favorites. WrestleMania 25 is my favorite WrestleMania and one of my favorite shows ever. So yeah, this is one of the first matches I remember as a kid, so that's be my list.
Yeah, on my list, this is probably the moment, at least to me. Obviously, he was already he was already known at this point and whatnot, but to me, this was the moment that made me just a big fan of John Cena at the time, and this is 2003 No Mercy versus Kurt Angle. This is basically his first big pay-per-view, like officially as like his character John Cena. And yeah, it's just a great match. It's his first big pay-per-view that broadcasted him to like a big audience on a main event type of scale versus Kurt Angle. And yeah, this was, to me at least, the official start of John Cena.
Yeah. For my next one, I have a 2015 U.S. Open Challenge versus Sami Zayn. Now, this match and that entire like era for John Cena with the U.S. Open Challenges were honestly some of my favorite matches that he's had with Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Sammy. And he helped put those guys on the map for me, at least. I know they were huge in PWG and Ring of Honor and all that, but for me, this is where I found out about Sami Zayn.
That was also his debut as well, as like SmackDown debut or something, I believe, as well, right? Sami Zayn?
Yeah, Raw debut, yeah. And it was in Canada, had Bret Hart introduce him. He blows out his shoulder celebrating while coming out. There's so much stuff to that match that, looking back on, I'm like, wow, thank God Cena was like willing to work with like guys who weren't as big as him, weren't in the limelight just like him, but he was willing to do business and work with guys who he's seen the talent in. And yeah, this is just my favorite one of the entire series. I can put all of them in there, to be honest, but I'll stick with one.
Alright, and then for my next one, you sort of mentioned it earlier, and this is going to be Judgment Day 2005 versus JBL. Now, a lot of people might remember, the picture of Eddie Guerrero where he bladed a little too hard and there was just blood everywhere. Well, John Cena said, hey, I'm going to top that. And I think he might have did it, because the match was insane. He gets bloodied up very early in the match and then just gets beaten for another, 20 to 25 minutes on the stage. JBL quits. He kind of does similar to what AJ and Cody did, where JBL does say, I quit. But then Cena still goes and hits him with, I believe it was the muffler to his limousine. And he kind of knocks him through the stage with the muffler to his limousine. And that was kind of the big finish. And just, yeah, it was just amazing. Just that's my style of matches, like the Extreme, the Hardcore, the Darby Allins, the Ravens, the Jeff Hardy, just, all these styles of matches. And this was like a big John Cena match to kind of go through all the crazy stuff that you usually don't see him do. Yeah,
and it's like looking back on it, it's so crazy to see like John Cena doing that style. Like, knowing Cena how he is today, it's like I could have never imagined Cena running the blade and getting blood from head to toe damn near. Bradshaw was damn near all red because of all Cena's blood. So yeah, definitely. So again, similar to the other match, just iconic imagery from that.
Yeah, for sure.
For my next one, it's technically a match, but really it's not, and that is the Firefly Funhouse at WrestleMania 36 Night 2. It's such a unique experience to watch, and this is one of the first matches I watched getting back into wrestling a few years ago. Yeah, it's just so unique. It's a mental game. It's a mental match where Bray Wyatt's just going over all the big mistakes that John Cena could have made and all the failures that would have happened if he didn't do something right. Him turning heel, stuff with NWO, and just it's really funny and really cool just for the time as well. And obviously COVID was a big thing, so yeah, really unique match to have at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I had it on my list at the moment for a while, but I took it off for one of them. I don't remember which one it was, but I did have it on my list for a while at least. Alright, and then for my next one, my last three are all going to be Manias, so I'll bring up my last non-Mania one, and that is going to be Randy Orton at Bragging Rights 2009. Just a big match. Randy Orton was the champion at the time, and John Cena was going for it, and it was just basically to me the peak of the Randy Orton John Cena feud. Great match in ring. Once again, gets bloodied up. Just a crazy match, and it's just one of my favorite John Cena Randy Orton feud matches, probably of all time, honestly. Obviously, because it's on the list. But yeah, the F5 from John Cena, the fake RKO from Randy Orton, before he actually does get it. The last like 5 minutes of this match. As per a lot of John Cena matches kind of are, once I kind of rewatched a lot of these matches, but the last like 5 to 7 minutes is like super Cena starts. Like that's when his comeback usually kicks in, and then there's a lot of fake pins and fake outs and everything. But yeah, this is like just a big match. My favorite Randy Orton John Cena match. Bragging Rights 2009.
Yeah. One thing I really remember about that match is just the facial expressions as well. I just remember like when Cena's pulling back the handcuffs and just see like the anger in his face, and Randy Orton just scared for his life, and yeah, I just remember that some of the stuff the most. For my next one, I have Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules 2012. I believe this is Brock Lesnar's first match returning to WWE at the time, and again, similar to the Umaga match, John Cena plays the baby face and like the underdog story so well. Brock Lesnar beating the hell out of him, and I do believe Brock Lesnar gets the win here. But yeah, just an absolutely crazy match. Again, just hectic. Don't really think about Brock Lesnar and John Cena as an Extreme Rules match, but they played into the stipulation very well.
Yeah, very much so. And even with that said, his next match that I have with Triple H, and this is going to be at WrestleMania 22. And my next one will be the very next year after this. But he goes against Triple H, and this WrestleMania 22. I believe also his first main event WrestleMania as well. But he goes against Triple H, the iconic entrances. He comes out with the limousine with the, I guess like a mobster sort of kind of entrance, where he comes out with the limousine with the mobsters on it. Some like background New York style like mobster music plays, and then finally his music comes out. He comes out with the Tommy gun, shoots it in the sky. Triple H's, this is also his iconic entrance, where he comes up with the throne and the headgear and everything, the skull. So just based off the entrances alone, just amazing. I mean, it's that's WrestleMania back then, when the stages were still great and nicely made and unique to each place that it was in. And yeah, just the entrances alone was great. The match was great. Triple H is one of my favorites of all time, in my top 5. I know a lot of people might not like that, but it is what it is. He's in my top 5. And yeah, these are 2 of my favorites in the ring at a WrestleMania, and it's for the title. Can't beat it.
Yeah. For my next one, a very iconic match, and that is RVD at One Night Stand 2006. I mean, Cena, people say, oh, he's never been a heel, but that night he was the most hated man around the world, I would say. Going into ECW territory with the WWE Championship, he is everything that WWE represents, and everything that ECW hates, especially the fans of ECW hate. And he goes in there, and again, he loses the match, which is, again, Rosa gotta respect Cena so much, because he does business when he has to. He's never afraid to lose a match, because he knows he'll eventually win it back anyway. But yeah, just a fantastic match, and then also the iconic moment of him throwing his shirt into the crowd throwing it back, and they do that for like a solid 5 minutes. But yeah, just a fantastic match. RVD, one of the best, or one of my favorites of all time, and obviously John Cena there as well. But yeah, just a fantastic night and match.
Yep, and then as I was saying, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 23, the very next year after facing Triple H. And this is not obviously his last good match with Shawn Michaels, because you have WrestleMania 24 and 25. But minus, his Undertaker feud, this was his last, WrestleMania match. And it was a banger. I mean, he still was doing his moonsaults. Obviously, he was doing it in 24 and 25 as well, but he's doing his moonsault off the middle rope to the outside by the announce tables and whatnot. And I mean, there's John Cena and Shawn Michaels. It's the biggest star of the 90s and the biggest star of the 2000s together in the ring. The crowd was just eating it up. The pops that they got for the entrances was massive. I mean, it doesn't get pretty much any bigger than John Cena versus Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. For my next one, I have AJ Styles at SummerSlam 2016. Now, I believe this is the second match of their feud, or singles match. And yeah, this one is fantastic. I know a lot of people talk about the Royal Rumble in 2017. However, I personally don't like that one too much, just because I feel like it drags on for a little bit too long. But this one, very similar to that match in my opinion. But yeah, this is during the era of Cena just pulling out random moves every once in a while and just trying new stuff. And it would usually just be some of the best and funniest moves you'd ever think he would do. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. And it's one of those things where you never thought that AJ Styles would be in the same ring as John Cena, and they were, and they made magic, because they're two of the best of them all time.
Yeah, and hopefully, maybe we'll see John Cena one more time facing a TNA guy and Joe Henry, maybe, because that was another one that I had. If you don't check out our previous video of our top 5 John Cena matches that happened during his run, then Joe Henry was a big pick that I was thinking about putting on that list. But yeah, that'd be really cool to see another TNA John Cena kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But for my final pick, I have, obviously, I feel like it has to be on your list, even though I know it's not on yours, but The Rock at WrestleMania 28. Basically, the exact same thing I said about Shawn Michaels, you can kind of apply it here. The two mega stars, the big star, who I guess he was technically a big star in the 2000s as well, but of the 90s and the 2000s and in Hollywood and everything else that he does and owns and everything, versus John Cena, which is Super Cena at this point. And so yeah, I mean, this is one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time at that point. And yeah, now we're potentially going to get it again for this final run that he's doing, which is kind of insane to think that this was WrestleMania 28. So this was like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's insane that we could get a repeat of this match now.
Yeah, definitely would love to see that happen one more time. And I wanted to put it on my list, but I was like, I kind of think you're going to put it, so I'll just keep it off just to be a little different. But for my final one, I have one of my favorite matches of both people involved, and that is John Cena versus Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam 2013. This is the peak of Daniel Bryan and his, just popularity. He would go on to win this match, but then get cashed in by Randy Orton, and that set up the eventual WrestleMania 30. But yeah, this is one of my favorite matches of Daniel Bryan and John Cena. Again, a match that you never thought was going to happen, because Daniel Bryan was kind of on the indies and kind of thought he was going to be the forever indie guy or go to a different company. But again, Cena proves that he can work with any style pretty much in the company or in the business. A technician like Daniel Bryan, just absolutely phenomenal work. And it was a cool story how he handpicked Daniel Bryan because he knew he was the best, and he wanted to prove to Bryan that he is the actual best. But
yeah, and I can never bring up John Cena and Daniel Bryan without mentioning this, just because probably my favorite Daniel Bryan John Cena moment. But it was when I believe it was Randy Orton that was champion, and they had just like everybody in the ring, Triple H and everyone, and the crowd was chanting and whatnot. He wasn't supposed to do anything with Daniel Bryan, but then he kind of moves him up and lets him kind of say his piece, and he has a promo, like unscripted moment right there, and that's just one of my favorite John Cena Daniel Bryan moments. So I just had to bring it up.
Yeah, that is my list. Let us know your guys' favorite matches. But yeah, that will be all from us. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video, and we will catch you guys in the next one.